This rogue deck from the Pokemon Go set is insanely underrated. Roll the intro. What is going on, everybody? Hitmonchanning here, back again with another Pokemon trading card game online video, and today I want to take a look at one of the coolest decks, one of the most fun decks, and one of my favorite decks from the Pokemon Go set, and that is Magikarp. I think this deck is really underrated. It's very powerful. You can do a lot of damage really quickly, and I don't really see anybody playing it, so I really did want to talk about it because I think it is super cool. Magikarp has the Raging Fin attack for 2 colorless energy. This attack does 10 damage plus 30 more for each Magikarp and Gyarados in your discard pile. Now, if you have all 8 4 Magikarp and 4 Gyarados, all 8 Pokemon in your discard pile, you're going to be doing 250 damage for a single twin energy attachment, which is really good. Now you might be thinking, well, in order to use this attack, we need to have a Magikarp in play. Well, not really, because Ditto with the sudden transformation ability allows you to use Magikarp's attack when it is in the discard pile, letting you hit 250 damage for a single attachment. Now, you might be thinking now, well, that doesn't quite knock out V-Stars. Thanks to our good friend Choice Belt, you're going to be doing a solid 280, knocking out V-Stars. Now you may be thinking, well, hold on a second, that doesn't knock out VMAX Pokemon. And I would respond with, thanks to our good friends Leon and Radiant Hawlucha, now you can knock out that pesky Mew VMAX that everybody is worried about. And you're doing that all on a basic Pokemon that you can attach for once in a turn. Now, to get this deck going a little bit, we do play the Minccino Cinccino draw engine with the Make Do ability. You must discard a card from your hand in order to use this ability. Once you do, you may draw 2 cards. I mean, it pairs very nicely because you want to get all your Magikarps and all your Gyarados in the discard pile. And we also have Manaphy in here just to offer us a little bit of bench protection against the most spready Pokemon right now, which is Radiant Greninja, which can just take out 2 of your Dittos like that and then really ruin your setup. For other cards in here, we do have a Hisuian Heavy Ball, so we can search out our Magikarps from the prizes, and we also play a Peonia in case one of our Gyarados get prized. We play 2 Rescue Carrier to get our Dittos back into play, so we don't have to actually attack with any Magikarp. You know, Evolution Incense, 4 Level Ball, 2 Quick Ball, standard stuff. 3 Trekking Shoes in here, though, so we can kind of dig through our deck a lot quicker, get more Pokemon in the discard, along with 3 Ultra Ball. We do play 2 Path to the Peak to help disrupt our opponent a little bit while we are getting set up. We do have, I mean, the highest stage Pokemon we have is stage 1, but it can still take some time to get all your Minccinos out and all your Magikarps in the discard pile. We are running 2 Boss's Orders and actually 2 Irida as well. Irida allows you to search your deck for a water Pokemon and item card, reveal them, and put them into your hand. A great strategy about this is, let's say you had like an Ultra Ball in your hand or something, and then you go in Irida for a Gyarados and a Level Ball. With that Level Ball, you get a Magikarp, and then you can Ultra Ball both of them away and grab another Pokemon to discard with Make Do. So Irida is a really, really good card in this deck. It makes you, it allows you to get set up a lot quicker. For energy, we play 4 Twin Energy and 3 Double Turbo Energy. Now, Double Turbo does make your attacks do 20 less damage, so it's not ideal to attack with if you're going for a big one-hit KO. But early on in the game, if you can't get, all 8 of your Pokemon in the discard pile, and you're just going to be 2-shotting, Double Turbo is better to start off earlier, save your Twin Energies, and then you can go crazy and start one-shotting everything with our little old Ditto here. Now, I've opted to play an Energy Loto in my list instead of a 4th, Double Turbo Energy, because looking at the top 7 cards and revealing an energy and putting it into your hand, sometimes you want to search for that twin energy a little bit better instead of just getting a Double Turbo or a twin in your hand and then you have to discard it to draw more cards kind of thing. So I think the Energy Loto is a really cool addition in here, and that's just about it. Now, before we get into the gameplay, I would like to say huge thank you to everybody supporting me. We just hit 100 subscribers on the channel, and that I could not be happier. We hit the goal by the end of July like I wanted to, and it really does truly make me happy. So I would like to say, give a big thank you to everybody who supports the channel, and I'm very excited to show you guys all the new deck techs that I have cooking up and all the awesome new content. So with all that said and done, let's take this deck for a spin. Here we're gonna call Tails Never Fails on the coin flip. taking that dub, and we're actually going to go first here. You do want to go first with this deck because you can get your Cinccino set up, and we're going to start with Ditto. The Trekking Shoes makes this hand a lot better than it would seem normally, but we're going to see what my opponent's playing to determine how we play down our hand. We're seeing the Sobble here, which, you know, could be just an Arceus Inteleon deck, it could be Inteleon with something else, but we're just going to play it, you know. Don't think they're going to be able to donk us right here, so we're just going to go ahead and start going through all of the cards in our hand. Rescue Carrier is not exactly something we need now, so we're going to unfortunately have to discard it. Seeing a Research, which is a lot better to get than a Rescue Carrier next turn, so we're just going to go ahead, attach this Choice Belt, and we are going to wait. We have the Evolution Incense here to get a Gyarados if we find a Cinccino, or to get a Cinccino if we don't find a Cinccino. And we'll probably get rid of this Manaphy depending on what we're playing against. If I see a Palkia, then I know that I have to bench this Manaphy because Radiant Greninja. But I am seeing a Snom here, so I do actually think we have to look out for Radiant Greninja because that is this is a pretty interesting deck archetype, which is just Radiant Greninja as the attacker to snipe out small Pokemon, used in combination with like Inteleon and that kind of stuff. But we do have a really good hand actually here. We can Ultra Ball both these Gyarados away, grab ourselves the Manaphy to protect during the next turn, or grab ourselves a Cinccino, and while shuffling our deck in the process. And my opponent can probably just keep calling here, but that's going to be their turn. We're hopefully, if we can get a Magikarp into the discard, which we can guarantee with this Ultra Ball actually, we'll be able to get a good next turn, or a good turn I should say. Going for the Heavy Ball here, find a Magikarp, which is exactly what we want to see. We can Ultra Ball away both these Gyarados. We will grab ourselves our Manaphy here, just to be safe. We don't want to get donked, or don't want to get our Pokemon hit and knocked out super easily. I'm going to Quick Ball away this Magikarp, and we can find ourselves something like another Minccino here. This Evolution Incense, we're going to grab a Cinccino and probably just make do away this Path to the Peak. Well, we should keep the Path to the Peak actually because of Greninja's ability, which is going to act as their draw engine. I'd like to get out another Ditto, but I'm not too concerned because we have the Twin Energy in our hand. So we're just going to Raging Fin here, doing a solid 130 damage, which is nothing crazy, but knocking that Sobble out and taking a Professor's Research as our prize. Now, we have a lot of options with this hand. We have the Irida, which we can use to get a Pokemon and any kind of item that we want, and go from there. Now, the only good thing that I wish we could find is a boss, but it looks like my opponent's a little bit dead drawing here. So we can just go ahead and use Irida to grab Gyarados and something else that we could need. What else could we need from this hand? An Air Balloon might be necessary, so we're just gonna get rid of those two. Get rid of this Gyarados and get rid of Peonia. We don't need anything from our prizes just yet. I'm gonna grab this Ditto, attach a Twin Energy to it. I'm going to put down the Path to the Peak just so my opponent can't drop Greninja immediately if they have it in their hand. Just going to make do away this Leon. And this is, you know, pretty solid hand, can't complain about it. We're just going to Raging Fin here, knocking out my opponent's Sobble, taking another prize card. Already 2 prizes ahead of my opponent here. And their whole name of the game is trying to knock out 2 small Pokemon. And they're going to need to boss up a Manaphy in order to do that. So they really do need a lot. But they have a Level Ball, which gets them a Drizzile, which gets them whatever they need. And that is going to just get them a little bit back on track. Probably just going to go for a Research here and reset their hand. But you never know. They could have some pretty funky shenanigans going on in that hand of theirs. But hey, I haven't played this deck before. I don't typically know how it's built aside from the Pokemon, you know, standard Inteleon, Drizzile, engine stuff. So we're going to have to take a look and see. But my best guess is going to be a Research. This deck could very well be like a Palkia Snom box or a Water box or something. They're just going to grab an Air Balloon from their hand, which makes me a little curious as to what they have. And an Air Balloon that Snom, scoop with the Drizzile. So now they're going to be able to grab a what's it called? They're gonna be able to grab a support or like a research or something with this Drizzile. Now, I find it interesting that they actually scooped up and went into the Sobble, because they could have just gone into the Snom, giving them an option to retreat into anything else that they may find. But they're just gonna grab the Capacious Bucket, grabbing 2 water energies, and now let's see what they have in their hand here. Getting that other Sobble down. Just gonna attach to the Drizzile, retreat into that Sobble, and pass it on over to us. So we're getting another knockout this turn, and we're doing really, really solid here. Like, we don't need too much at this point because we've kind of outpaced our opponent. Just gonna make do the cards away that I know we don't need, and leave it as is. We can level ball for another Ditto here, and just do a Raging Fin, taking a knockout here. We've Path to the Peak, so they can't immediately drop a Greninja, and we're grabbing another Cinccino. But our board is fully set up, and we're going to be off to the races. It's just a matter of what my opponent finds here. Probably just drawing a Snom. But they do have the Shady Dealings Inteleon, so they can get going a little bit here. They should have another Water Energy in their hand to use. So if they can find like a Bucket and a Level Ball or Evo Incense to get their energy and Frosmoth combo off, then they can attack with this Inteleon, doing 120 to our Ditto here. Now the good thing is we're going to be able to knock it out next turn, but they're actually opting for a Nessa, which actually does make a little bit more sense. They have the Level Ball, which they also grabbed, so you get that Frosmoth, Nessa some of their Pokemon back into their hand, and then just go for an Ice Dance and take out our active Ditto, which, as long as we can keep our pace up, we're going to be doing a-okay here, because we can just Rescue Carrier our Dittos back. We have no energy in the discard, and we have researches and such to draw through. So we'll see what my opponent is going to opt to do here. Just going to go for the Aqua Bullet. Easy and simple. No boss coming out, so our Manaphy still stays in play. And they get to take a prize, but so will we very, very soon. We got all the pieces to make the puzzle work here. Just to be sure, we're going to Quick Ball away this Heavy Ball. Grab ourselves another Magikarp. And this is more of a future-proofing thing, just so we can ensure that we get knockouts here. And we have a double turbo. We can put on this Ditto. And we're just going to grab our Gyarados and make do it away as well. So for whatever reason our damage mods wouldn't be able to knock out, they're going to be able to knock out right now. And we do get the boss in our hand, which is really, really good. Also, Raging Fin coming through once again. 250 now. We're doing our max damage output, considering that our Leon, I think, is discarded. We got a Path to the Peak, which is really good in case they bump the stadium. Now they're going into the Frosmoth. They should have their Drizziles still. They should have... No, they might not have a Drizzile. Oh, well, they do because of the Level Ball now. So if they can find that Drizzile, they can get maybe their Greninja going. Take out our active Ditto, but we'll have to take a look and see. It really all depends what they have in their hand, and their hand is pretty small, so I think they just need a little bit more options. Even though they have the Shady Dealings engine going for them, they might just need that little extra push in order to put them into the victory territory. What could my opponent be grabbing off the Shady Dealings? They could be grabbing another Nessa to get their Inteleon line back and a bunch of water energy, but I don't know what they could be doing. They're most definitely looking for that Greninja, in my eyes at least, but they should have been able to find it because they can just get Hisuian Heavy Ball out and get out of the prizes if it's prized. So they are going to opt for the Nessa here, probably getting set up for their next turn, because they can get back Sobbles, they can get back a Drizzile, Inteleon, and some water energy. It all depends on the combination. My guess would be Drizzile, Inteleon, 2 water energies, but you know what? Let's take a look and see. I always do like to kind of guess and interpret what my opponent is playing against. There we go. Or going to play, sorry, just so I can better understand their deck and their line of thinking. You know, even it helps, even though I'm recording, it does help me to talk out loud when I'm playing, you know, just for fun in my house or whatever. They're gonna go with that other shading dealings here. They do have a sizable hand at this point, so maybe they're gonna finally grab their heavy ball. I do think it's too little too late though. We've just outpaced them in knockouts, but hey, we're still gonna have to take a look and see. My opponent could pull a crazy trick up their sleeve. So they have played a supporter this turn. They haven't played a boss yet, I don't think. So they can boss that Manaphy up, and that'll be a little bit of a challenge for us. Dropping an Evo Incense, maybe grabbing another Inteleon for the turn after this, or something like Quick Shooting Inteleon to start pinging their Manaphy down. But they're going to grab a second Frosmoth, which makes me think that they're... Oh, I was going to say, it makes me think they're counting on this current Frosmoth getting knocked out, or they're just going to use it as fodder. But my opponent bringing down a basic Lapras. I believe this is the one that paralyzes Pokemon. Which, you know what, that is very interesting. 130 HP, we're going to be guaranteed hitting it with the Ditto. But at least they're going to be able to stall out a little bit here, taking another prize. Maybe their Greninja and their Hisuian Heavy Ball are prized, you know, it could be, that could very well be a possibility here. Raging Freeze is going to take a knockout on our Ditto. See, no boss came out, so if they knocked out the Manaphy, I'd be a little more concerned, in all truth. We still have Rescue Carrier, though. So we're just going to go right back into our Ditto. And we can Rescue Carrier these two Ditto back in to our hand. Get our Dittos down. And I don't want to go too crazy with the make dues so we don't, you know, end up decking ourselves out. We're getting that double turbo. That's all I was looking for, because now we can just Raging Fin, knock out this Lapras, doing 230 damage. And next turn, unless they can take out all three of our Ditto, somehow, some way, we pretty much guaranteed have the win here, because we've only played 2 energies so far. 2 more, we have, you know, 2 more, or we have 3 more in, you know, our deck still left to be found. So we're definitely going to get to another energy. My opponent bringing down the Shady Dealings and Inteleon. I'm guessing they're going to grab a Nessa and something else. Maybe a Nessa and a Scoop Up Net, so then they can reset it. Or maybe a Nessa and something else to get another attacker down. If they have another Lapras, maybe something like an Ordinary Rod. But back into the deck, and then using another Shady Dealings Inteleon to get a... And never mind, they don't even need that. They just need the Nessa. They can get that Nessa and put their good old Nessie Lapras back onto the board. But there shouldn't be too much they can do here. My opponent having a hard think over here about what they should do. Grabbing a boss's orders and a training court, they might try and get something stuck in the active. They can drop their training court and play their Greninja if they found a way to have it. They're bringing up that Manaphy not to trap it but to KO it. But all hope, you know, it's a little bit too little, too late. It is unfortunate for my opponent, though. I feel like they did dead draw a lot, because this deck is typically really very fast thanks to that Frosmoth. But they're going to get 2 more water energy and be able to take this Manaphy out. Even if they were able to take out another Ditto, they couldn't take out both Manaphy and Ditto. So we might just be in the good graces here. My opponent going to Scoop Up Net there. Inteleon going for another big Shady Dealer here, and grabbing some other cards. See, this is just what makes me curious, because what could they need at this point? Like, what could, like, give them a better chance at victory? I really just don't know. I'm more curious than anything. Like, they're gonna grab a Rare Candy and a Marnie here. Not able to use the Marnie because they've already used Boss this turn. The Rare Candy would have been a good option for their final turn, but not opting to knock out my Inteleon and just trapping it, not being able to knock up Manaphy with Inteleon and trapping it there is well and good until we bring this Ditto and a Raging Fin for the final knockout of the game, taking our last prize card and taking the victory. So what did you think of my Pokemon Go Magikarp deck? I do think this deck is really fun to play, and I think it's better than people give it credit for. I do think it's underrated. Now, do I think it's like the best deck in format? No, I don't. You do need quite a bit to do like the bare minimum damage when decks like Palkia or Arceus or pretty much like Mewtwo V-Star, like a lot of the other V-Star decks can hit those numbers really easily. Now you have the prize trade and being a basic Pokemon in your advantage here, but it really it's more of a hit or miss whether you're going to be able to use those qualities to your advantage. Now, what would I change about this deck? You could opt to go for another energy instead of the Energy Loto. Personally, I like the Energy Loto a little bit more because sometimes you would rather search for your energy and find it rather than just be dealt a double turbo energy and not have an option or a chance to make your odds a bit better. So that's just more of a me thing. Another thing that you might want to consider putting in here is a Pal Pad, because you only run 2 boss, you have a Leon, you have 1 Peonia, and these are important one-of supporters that you can't get guaranteed. Now, the good thing is we amassed a really huge hand later in the game thanks to our 3-3 Cinccino line, but nevertheless, it could be good if you need to discard stuff early on to get it back. Even another Rescue Carrier could be a good option. It just depends on what you find you run into, how often you discard them. It really is just, it's luck, One more Ditto, though, I really do think should be fit into here, because that way you can go through essentially 8 Dittos if you needed to. With this, you can go through, you could go through, 8 Dittos, I was right. With this, you go through 2 less Dittos, right? Because you have Rescue Carrier, you have 2 Rescue Carriers, so you can get 4 back technically, but it's still a little bit harder to make those like numbers work out in your favor, right? I do think that, this deck is pretty strong. Hawlucha, I think you can kind of pick Hawlucha or Leon, or do both. I do like to have both in there in case one isn't working because of our path, in case Hawlucha's not working because of the path to the peak, right? But it could be up to you. You could opt to go for another route in here, like if you wanted to put a Raihan in and a Radiant Charizard and a single fire energy, to then, get a super hard-hitting attack, like late in the game, if you can't find your Dittos or your twin energies, right? So, hey, there's a lot of different ways you can build around this archetype, a lot of different suggestions and changes you could make, like adding another Heavy Ball in, it really is up to your liking. But other than that, I really have been enjoying playing this deck, and I would like to thank you all for watching. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. Comment down below, what are your thoughts on this deck? What do you think of the Magikarp from the Pokemon Go set? How do you like it? And last but not least, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this type of content. I like to have a balance between fun decks, cool decks, competitive decks, and I like to kind of mix it up and get some stuff in between. So I really appreciate anybody taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, Hitmonchanning out.